I recently captured every single one of Ash Ketchum's Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, so the next step in this shiny journey is to capture all of Brock and Mistys too. That's 16 shinies in total, but there's also a mysterious trainer with 3 Pokemon we will also hunt throughout the video. We're going to use the Outbreak method, Picnic resetting, and the Masuda method to gather all shinies available in the base game, the Teal mask, and the Indigo disc. Here's how it went. The first Pokemon to go for is obviously the iconic Gyarados, and it's one of Misty's Pokemon too. By using a water type sandwich and having an outbreak at the same time, we've got a really good chance of getting this. I found a really good route too, which is running up and down the coast. However, while doing this, I encountered this little golden guy. I quickly save, and that will go to my own personal collection, but he's disappeared. Luckily for me, he's just teleported further down the shore. And is this a sign of our shiny luck to come? Only 2 minutes later of going up and down the shoreline, spawning in Gyarados, our first shiny of the challenge appears, a very bright and beautiful shiny Gyarados. And although it's super common thanks to the Gen 2 Lake of Rage shiny, it's still a must have. 2 shinies in 2 minutes? That's got me feeling good. I check out Gyarados' nature and it's got a quiet nature, but no mark. It's still a great shiny nonetheless. At the time of recording this video, there was an event going on where you can get a shiny Voltorb, and although he's not part of the team, I couldn't pass up an opportunity to catch a shiny Pokemon, and I wanted to include the little blue ball of destruction into the list anyway. Now, with 1 out of 19 shinies down and Misty's first in the collection, it's time to grab our first Brock shiny. And what better shiny than a Mudkip? In the DLC, the Indigo disc with a water type sandwich that boosts our encounter and shiny rate for Mudkip, we can isolate it in this cave. This gives us also a very easy reset point. By just running back and forth and in and out of the cave, we can spawn in a lot of Mudkips. After only around 10 or 15 minutes, the first Mudkip to spawn in is oddly pink, and that is our first target for Brock, and it's such a good shiny. We quickly capture it and add it to the team. He's got a sassy nature and no mark, but it won't be staying a Mudkip. By shoving XP candy down his throat, we can evolve it into its final form, well, at least for us, a Marshtomp, and it's just oozing power. No Swampert unfortunately, but it would have been really cool to see Brock with a Swampert, but Marshtomp is just as good. That's now 2 out of 19 done, and I still have 20 minutes of a shiny water sandwich left, and with plenty of water types to catch in this challenge, we might as well try our luck, and things are about to take a really weird turn. If we head over to Paldea again near Levencia, there's a beach where occasionally Marill spawn as well as an abundance of other Pokemon, like Woodtrio, Marini, and I was thinking this might be a bad spot to hunt, but as I edge closer to the grass, I noticed just more Marills spawning. I tried to find a good spot to picnic reset, but it didn't look like it was a good idea, so I decided to just start roaming around the grass, and this has much better results of getting in Marill, as I can just respawn and despawn them much faster. Now I know what you're thinking, Brock and Misty didn't have a Marill, just an Azurill, so this is the first of the 3 mysterious shiny Pokemon, and I wonder if any of you have already guessed who the trainer is. It honestly only takes a few more minutes before a very bright green Marill spawns in, and it's so noticeable. We capture her, and all her friends are really shocked at what they've just witnessed, but unfortunately your rare friend is coming with me. She's got a docile nature and the dozy mark, so our first mark of the challenge, and with that being another super quick shiny, we still have time left on our sandwich, 13 minutes to be exact. With time running down, I decide to head right back to the start of your journey, well, area 5 to be exact, and I know there's a good spot for Psyducks. Other water types though do spawn again, but that's right, we're going to try and make a big dent now in Misty's Pokemon. I just start running around all the water holes, honestly not expecting to find too much. Now, Psyduck shiny will definitely pop out if you see it. So as I fly up in the air to have a good look around, and as soon as I drop in by this lake, a bright blue duck spawns in, and what is this look so far? That's 3 shinies in 3 separate locations in 1 sandwich. We catch a Psyduck, and I'm really happy about this one. She's got a careful nature, and we add her to the list, but being so close to the sea gives us a perfect opportunity for one last Pokemon. By swimming in the sea, you'll encounter all sorts of water type Pokemon, Buizels, Cloysters, Magikarps, Finazons, you name it, it's here. So the chances of getting our target is slim. Our last target for this bonanza of water type shinies is Luvdisc. The plan was to just go around the edge of the whole map looking for Luvdisc, but I seem to have stumbled upon an area that can spawn in family of Luvdiscs, and you can reset them quite easily. So with a clock running down, I swim around the ocean, resetting spawns and just seeing what we can find. I'm getting a lot of fish spawns, but with a very slim chance of a Luvdisc. Little did I know this sandwich would provide a total of 4 shinies. As I turn around, in a family of Luvdiscs is a golden Luvdisc just sitting there perfectly, unfortunately, and still with 7 minutes left on the clock. Talk about insanely crazy luck. I got each target I wanted without seeing a different shiny too. I couldn't be more happier. We catch the golden love disc and check the nature. She's got an adamant nature and no marks. I'd love to say I captured a final shiny in the last remaining time of the 6 minutes of the sandwich. I didn't though. I searched a few biomes for Horsey, but alas no shiny. And with that, our luck comes to an end, but we still got plenty more shinies to catch. And the next one, what better one to do than a Sudowoodo? There's a really good spawn point for him, and by eating a rock type sandwich, we can isolate Sudowoodo here. It's pretty creepy the way they all just stare at you not moving. Now I did this for quite a while without any sort of luck, but there is a tactic to this, well RNG. If it starts raining, Sudowoodo being a rock type don't like it, and they start running away, despawning themselves, but the shiny will never ever move. How good is that? A few sandwiches later, we get lucky and mid-hunt it starts raining, and as you can see the Sudowoodos now do the hunt for you. It really doesn't take too long after this due to the sheer amount of Pokemon seen, and what do you know? After only around a minute of rain, a menacing Sudowoodo is staring at us, refusing to move. A quick capture and we get ourselves a shiny Sudowoodo, and I really like the red on this thing. With having some rock type sandwich left, I headed to a cave where we can isolate Geodude. Although this spot proved no results and was quite a difficult one to set up. Although my Cramorant was auto battling each Geodude, not many spawned in and it wasn't the ideal way to hunt. I decided to put Geodude on hold for a little bit. Having made great progress so far in our quest to capture all of Brock and Misty's shinies, I decided to go back and try and hunt Horsey. But this little seahorse would be a pain. There was an outbreak which I thought would be a great time to add it to the team, and we got to work knocking out 60 for max shiny odds. But this place was just a pain. On top of getting limited spawns from Picnic resetting, Horsey being kind of hard to tell the difference, or at least I thought, and the blizzards I would spawn in tanking my FPS to single digits. This hunt just wasn't happening. Sandwiches go by in what feels like days with no shiny to be seen. Now I'm the type of person who switches up my hunts to keep me busy, and that's what I decided to do, letting Horsey defeat me once more. So Brock's got some cool Pokemon like Krogunk, who also has a fantastic shiny, giving it a beautiful aqua colour. And I know from my shiny frog video a really good spot to mass spawn in Krogunk and Toxicroaks. First we have to make a poison type sandwich, so by consuming way too many pickles, we can get them to spawn in, and they come in families too. And by using the Picnic reset method, we can see many Pokemon in such a short period of time. With these odds in our favour, it doesn't take too long into our hunt before I spot a bright looking Krogunk walking around without a care in the world, and I'm glad it wasn't Toxicroak as we would have had to keep looking. Brock never evolved his. We capture Krogunk with a critical catcher, and then we check his nature. He's got a lax nature with no mark, and that is shiny 7, and a fantastic one at that. We don't even have to move for our next shiny Pokemon, and this time we need a bug type sandwich. By making one we can encounter specifically Cypher here. Now I know what you're thinking, Brock and Misty didn't have a Cypher. This is clue number 2 in our mysterious trainers Pokemon. Have you figured it out yet? Now Cypher does have a shiny that on paper looks like it stands out, but when you've been shiny hunting for a while, your eyes play trick on you. Is this one a shiny? Is that a shiny? But I get sidetracked. One of the smallest looking Cyphers I've ever seen, like it was really small compared to the rest spawned in. So I decided to catch it. I don't know why, but I just felt obliged. Back to going for the shiny though. After around 10 more minutes of searching the area, a darker green Cypher spawns in almost immediately, and you can definitely spot the difference. It's also a really small one too, but I do love the colours on this. Unfortunately, it won't evolve into a vibrant green scissor, but Cypher can stay perfect the way he is. He's a careful nature with an intellectual mark giving him the scholar title, so now he's a very smart and very small Cypher. That's shiny number 8. Back to Brock shinies now, one of my favourites, Ludicolo. While we can't hunt it directly, we can go for its first form, which is Lotad. Now the shiny is very noticeable, and there's only one water type in the teal mass that spawns at the lake, which is Lotad, making it the perfect spot to Picnic reset. By hunting this way, you can see how many of these little lily pads we can spawn in at one time. But RNG is RNG, and it took me a couple of sandwiches and hours before I eventually noticed a darker coloured lily pad, and we find ourselves a shiny Lotad. Unfortunately, Scarlet and Violet's FPS really take a tank here, but we do get to capture it nonetheless. After moving to face the wall to get back my FPS, we can check out its summary. He doesn't have a mark, and it's got an impish nature. We force feed him plenty of candies, and doing this we can evolve him instantly into his mid-evolution, which shiny is actually really good looking, Lombre, but this is not his final form. We now use a water stone on him to evolve him into the very happy Ludicolo, and I haven't had a Ludicolo actually, so we get to register it in the Pokédex too. And with that we have shiny number 9, and isn't he just majestic? So it's a brand new day in Paldea, and then we are in luck as we have a Geodude outbreak in the teal mask. I take our shiny Cramorant and start getting to work knocking out 60 of them. Now Geodude's shiny is very noticeable. It's a golden yellow, and well, Geodude is grey, so it'll be hard to miss this one. Now, I never understood how come Brock's Geodude didn't evolve. He battled with it, travelled with it for a very long time. I guess it just wanted to stay the floating rock forever. After trying to figure out the best place to spawn these in by running back and forth, rotating all around the cliffs and running, I found a pretty decent location I could just set up a picnic on, just on top of the cliff, which spawns in a decent amount each time. And after a while, a little golden nugget appears. Well, it looks slightly more yellow than I originally thought it would be, but I'll definitely take it. We check out our newly found shiny, and he's male, mild nature, with the uncommon mark, which is actually a pretty common mark. And that is another one down in the collection, giving us 10 shinies in total. Now, I wanted to actually go back to catch a Misty shiny now, but as fate would have it in the indigo disc, there's a Chansey outbreak right next to a wall too, which can be a very good thing or a bad thing depending on how they spawn. So after flying in on Koraidon, I noticed there's actually still quite a few Chanseys. This spot makes it good as we can easily reset them by hopping over a wall or moving back. The downside to hunting Chansey is they run away. They run away when you auto battle them, they run away when you go near them. And Talonflame and Cramorant are not the fastest Pokemon, believe it or not. Chansey will also sprint right into you starting a battle, so it's a pain, but I don't even make it to max odds this time. As I'm sending Talonflame out to try and battle the hordes of Chanseys, a shiny one is just happily waddling around, and I really like the shiny version of Chansey. The green and lighter body really do go well together, and it blends in as we capture it next to a bunch of cactuses. We check the nature as always, and she's got a lax nature but no mark. Now, unfortunately, we have to evolve this brilliant Chansey into another Pokemon. By force feeding it a lot of Quillot berries to max out her friendship instantly, then we give her some XP candies, we can evolve her into the not so great looking shiny Blissey. Honestly, I can barely tell the difference between our shiny and a normal one, but it's still another shiny to the collection, putting us at a solid 11. After Blissey's subpar shiny, in my opinion, let's go for one of the best on the list, in my opinion. By eating a steel type sandwich back in Paldea, we can isolate Forretress, and there is an army of UFO looking bugs just floating around now. You can spawn so many in just like Cypher and Krogan, although this hunt would take me some time. RNG is still RNG as I always say, and sometimes it can be nice to you, others not so much. As day turns to night in Paldea, I pack up my picnic ready to call it a night, and one of the first that spawn in is a very small golden Forretress. Took me a while to even notice as I was busy closing down my stuff for the night, and it's lucky that they don't despawn that fast. I quickly encounter it, and how beautiful is this? With a quick and easy capture, we have another one of Brock's Pokemon on the team. We check his summary, and he's a modest Forretress, but no mark, and this is probably my favourite shiny so far. He's just a standout Pokemon. Now, I don't usually nickname my Pokemon, I like to keep the names original. However, we make an exception for Forretress, and we nickname him C-3PO from Star Wars, and to get a nickname from me means you're pretty special. On to another water shiny for Misty, but it's actually not a water type, it's normal and fairy. It always throws me off. By making a big tofu stack sandwich, I mean look at this beauty, we can get a normal encounter sandwich, and right at the start of the game is a perfect place to isolate Azurill. Now, Azurill's shiny is definitely noticeable. It's a bright green like Marill, while Azumarill's is a beautiful golden colour. I don't know why it goes green, then yellow, but if any of you do, please let me know. By isolating Azurills, we can picnic, reset, and spawn them in quite quickly this way. Although if they spawn on the grass and it's shiny, it could be hard to see, but it really doesn't take much time, and then I can just barely make out a small green Azurill's tail swimming. At least I think it is. But then they come onto the island showing me, yeah, I'm shiny, I want to be caught. And there we have it, a shiny Azurill in a really quick hunt. We check her out and she's docile and she's got a mark, and it's a rare mark. I think this is one of the rarest marks in the game, I'm not quite sure. And there we have Azurill the Recluse. Our next shiny has got to be a Brock one, and it's the Firefox Vulpix that he had. He also never evolved it into the beautiful looking Ninetales, whose shiny is so good. However, Vulpix's shiny is still pretty noticeable, with it taking on a sort of a lighter tint, but this shiny took me a while to get. There's a great spot in the woods in the teal mass that you can spawn in Vulpix, but I had no luck. Hours of searching, days go by, still no shiny fox. I substituted swapping Vulpix for Comfeys, but none would shine for me. After a few days of searching, my luck was damn bad. Days would turn into nights, and this means less Vulpixes would spawn because Litwick and Lampent would start to override them, until the very next day we get lucky and a Vulpix outbreak is on my map, probably due to me having a fire encounter sandwich helping the chances, and this is definitely what we needed. So as usual, we get to work knocking out Vulpixes for the max odd, and it comes quick as they're everywhere. Some time passes, and the best way I found was just rotating around and around in circles, spawning and despawning them in, until eventually what I think is a Elytra Vulpix spawns in, but we get ambushed by a Spinarak. Not wanting it to disappear, we quickly run over, and it is a shiny. That is definitely a different Vulpix. A quick save, and we finally have our Firefox, and it's another great one to the collection. She's got a lax nature, but no mark, but it doesn't matter that you won't be a Ninetales, you're just fine as you are. This means it's time to look for our flowers. Well, it's a fairy type Pokemon Comfey, and this one can be hard to find. It's really small, and only its head changes colour. The good news is, we can isolate hunt them in the indigo disc, so only they spawn. I ran around for a little while before I found a really good path in place. By the beach, you can spawn in quite a lot of them, and then up and to the left on top of the hill, you can spawn in even more, resetting both each time. It really didn't take me too long using this route before I head back down to the beach, and actually, the blue is extremely obvious, and there we have a shiny Comfey. We capture it in a quick ball because I just love using quick balls, please don't hate me. We have ourselves a blue flower Pokemon. He's got a calm nature with a mark, the uncommon mark, again, and I'm happy to get one of the smaller Pokemon out of the way with not much issues. There's still a water Pokemon that has evaded me this whole video, and it's about time now we go and get it finally. Yep, that's Horsey. I managed to get an outbreak in the indigo dish using a water type encounter sandwich and some date skipping shenanigans, although it still took me quite a bit to find them. The only thing left to do is boost our odds by knocking out 60 of them. I decided I will not leave this water until we own our shiny Horsey, and that's what I do. Horsey is another Pokemon I never understood why Misty didn't evolve. Having even a Seadra would have fit, but anime is the anime. After only around 15 minutes of popping back to the land and the waterfall to briefly reset their spawns, I think there's a slightly different coloured Horsey to the distance. And it is. We can finally claim it. We capture her successfully and check her out. No mark and she's got a naive nature, but I'm just happy to finally have got this one out of the way, and this gives us shiny 16. Now for another water type. This time we need to get a shiny Politoed, but there's no way to just get it on its own, so we need its pre-evolution. Poliwag is one of the hardest shinies to spot in the wild. We do have an outbreak for one, but if you look at the difference, I mean, it's so bad. It means I need to consistently knock them out, reset my save, and hope one of them is shiny is not the best strategy to go for. And after a while of doing this, I decided to switch it up. So I reset again and again and again until we get an evolution in an outbreak, Poliwhirl. The shiny is much more noticeable, and it's in a pretty good location too. The downside is I still have up my water type sandwich, so sometimes a lot of Masquerins spawn in, taking up our Poliwhirls. But I eventually get to max odds and start searching for our blue looking Poliwhirl. It doesn't take too long either after this. As I swim upstream, first comes a darker Poliwhirl, then the bright blue Poliwhirl, and that is our target. We capture her and check out her nature as always. She's got a lonely nature and she's got the uncommon mark. I think that's a third now. Poliwhirl won't be staying a Poliwhirl though. We need to evolve her, but we'll come back to that in a bit. So one of the last Pokemon on this list is a Clauncher, and unfortunately I play on Scarlet, so the only way for me to get this shiny is by hatching it. I already have a shiny Clawitzer and a shiny Ditto, so maybe that'll increase my odds. So in order to Masuda method, we need two Pokemon from different regions. So in this case, a Japanese Ditto and my English Clawitzer. Then we can go into this restaurant to get egg power level 2. This will increase the rate we gather eggs at. So all that's left to do is save the game so you don't have to clear out your boxes if you don't get the shiny, and you can just reset. We set up a picnic, and then we just start standing there. We can check the basket to see if there's any eggs every few minutes or so. My Masuda method luck has been crazy in my last few videos, with only one going over 400 eggs. Let's see if we can get Clauncher. So I gather my first batch of eggs, around 30 to 40, and get to hatching. And I'm not kidding, after only around 25 eggs, we hatch our little shiny red Clauncher. My Masuda method luck is insane. I check her summary, no mark, and she's got a relaxed nature. Then I count how many Claunchers it was. It was actually 27. Insane. I hatched the rest of the eggs, but I wasn't lucky enough to get a second, and that just leaves us with 2 more shinies left to get on this challenge. It's time to go for the last Pokemon of our mysterious trainer. We eat a poison type sandwich, and we have a Venomoth outbreak. We can hunt it. So I get to work knocking out the plethora of Venomoths that spawn in. Venomoth shiny is fantastic and definitely noticeable when it comes out, and it really doesn't take that long. In fact, I don't even make it to max odds of knocking them out before in the distance a vibrant blue Venomoth spawns in, and as I turn my camera, it is beautiful. We capture him and he's got a relaxed nature, no marks, and that means we have now captured our mysterious trainer's 3 shinies, and if you haven't guessed it by now, they all belong to none other than Tracy's Sketch. He only ever had 3 Pokemon, and his Venonat recently evolved in Pokemon Journeys. This only leaves us now with one thing left to do to complete the challenge. First, I need to buy a King's Rock from the town, and then by getting help from my good friend Kyrain, who's a great shiny hunter, you should definitely check him out, he agrees to not steal my my shiny Politoed and traded me back. And this shiny Politoed is our final shiny for this challenge, and just look at how happy he is. With that final trade, we have obtained all 19 out of 19 shinies that Brock, Misty and Tracy owned in the anime that's available in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In total, we had 6 with marks and the rare mark, and a great variety of Pokemon too. With the sun setting, another day in Paldea comes to an end. What shinies shall we catch next time? Well, that's a story for another time. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe if you're new. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.